Our last lesson in our weather unit is on fronts. And we're going to go through this fairly quickly, say what the fronts are, draw some pictures and some of the weather associated with them. First, what is a front? A front is just the boundary where two air masses meet. And I showed you that a little bit in the previous lesson with the air masses. You have these air masses meeting, coming together, and it's going to make a front. There are four main types of fronts: cold fronts, warm fronts, stationary fronts, and occluded fronts. We're going to get our definitions first. I'm just going to say them, write them down, and then I'm going to draw a picture for the fronts. A cold front is when a cold air mass overtakes a warm air mass. So a cold air mass overtakes a warm air mass. A warm front is when a warm air mass overtakes a cold air mass. So a warm air mass overtakes a cold air mass. A stationary front is when cold and warm air masses meet, but neither advances. So cold and warm air masses meet, but neither advances. And an occluded front is when a cold air mass overtakes and lifts a warm air mass to meet another cold air mass. Okay, it's a long one. A cold air mass overtakes and lifts a warm air mass to meet another cold air mass. Now, you have your four definitions. Now we're going to draw pictures. So find some room to draw a picture. First one we're going to draw is a cold front. So for the cold front, draw the ground. Now, when you think of cold air, okay, it's cold, it's dense, it's this big blob of air hugging the ground. So it's going to have a snub nose, or kind of a sharp front. So here is my cold air. Okay. It's got this sharp or this snub nose. It's this big blob of heavy, dense, cold, contracted air. And it's meeting our warm air. So our warm air is over here. Well, the cold air, as we said in the cold front, the cold air is advancing into the warm air. Well, what's the warm air going to do when it hits this cold air? Warm air rises. Is it going to rise gradually, or is it going to rise very quickly? It's going to rise pretty quickly. This cold air, it's moving. It can easily shove the warm air out of the way because the warm air is just going to go straight up. So this warm air is going to go straight up like that. The warm air is going to rise because of this snub nose that the cold front has. Well, what happens when warm air goes up? You get clouds, right? You get these vertically developed clouds. What type of cloud? Going to be a cumulonimbus cloud usually. So I'm going to make this big anvil head cumulonimbus cloud. Okay, it's vertically developed because the warm air was pushed straight up. Okay, it's vertically developed. What kind of weather do you have? Well, you have lots of rain, thunderstorms, maybe lightning, maybe tornadoes, hail, okay, all sorts of really bad weather associated with this. Lots of times it's coming a little bit before the cold front, you can see, because that warm air is pushed up there. That's the cold front. Now let's get to the warm front. Let me change back to my other color. So now we get to the warm front. Again, I'm going to draw the ground. Now the warm air, remember it's not cold, dense like this, so it's not going to be hugging the ground. It's not going to have an easy time at all pushing the cold air out of the way. So I'm going to put the cold air here. So the warm air, as it tries to push the cold air out of the way, it kind of rides up on top of the cold air. So this warm air here is going to advance, but it's going to be hard to do it. So it's going to kind of push up as it shoves the cold air out of the way. So it's going to move much more slowly because it can't push the cold air out of the way. The cold air is so dense. So what we get are a series of clouds. First, we're going to get some little wispy, high up ice crystal clouds. What are those called? Cirrus. Then we're going to get some high layered clouds made of ice crystals. Cirrostratus. Then we're going to get some lower layered clouds. altostratus. Finally, we're going to get our really low layered clouds, and it's going to be a nice gentle rain. Okay, so that's nimbostratus. Okay, I guess I should have done those in a different color. Those are nimbostratus. So we get our cirrus, our cirrostratus, our altostratus, and our nimbostratus. So where here we had this violent thunderstorms, the cold air pushed through. Usually when you have these violent thunderstorms, as you know, they push through in what, 45 minutes, an hour, it's done. Okay, you have that strong front comes through. With these, it's so slow. It's going to take a while. I'm going to show you a picture on the next slide. It's going to have a picture of this. I'll show you a little bit of timing, but it's going to take a long time to go through and do this. And you'll have this nice gentle rain for maybe a day or so. So you have a long time. Stationary front, not going to draw a picture of it. The definition, as we said, cold air mass and warm air masses meet, but neither advances. So it's really going to be kind of like one of these pictures or our occluded front. It's just not advancing. Okay, so we don't need to draw a picture for it. Draw a picture for our occluded front. Now I drew these pictures side by side for a reason. Okay, now imagine that they're not two separate pictures. Imagine that it was just one picture. Which one of these fronts is going faster? The cold front is, because it's dense, heavy air. It pushes the warm air out of the way. So this cold front could catch up to the warm front. And when it does, it could lift it up. That's what happens for the occluded front. So that's what we're going to draw. So basically we're going to draw kind of what we had. So here's the ground. I'm going to draw my snub nose cold front like this. Moving this way. It is now lifted up my warm front. So this is my warm air. And this is my other cooler air over here. So I'll put cooler instead of cold. It's probably not as cold as the cold front air. So what type of weather is going to be associated with this? Well, first, you're going to have, again, your little wispy cirrus clouds, your cirrostratus clouds, your altostratus clouds, your nimbostratus clouds, lots of nice gentle rain, quickly followed by your cumulonimbus clouds with your thunderstorms, your lightning, your hail, your tornadoes, all your really, really bad weather. Okay, these are horrible, horrible storms. They're so bad partially because the ground gets saturated. Okay, all this rain from the nimbostratus, this nice gentle rain, it saturates the ground. So when the thunderstorm starts, there is no room. There's no pore space in the ground left. All this water has to run off. So you get huge flooding. Okay, the ground is already saturated and full with water from here. So these occluded fronts, these are the bad ones. Luckily, they don't happen very often, but they can happen. I said they're really bad ones. Now, if you were looking at a weather map, what symbol would you see for a cold front? So looking at a weather map, what symbol would you see? It would be a blue line with blue triangles. Okay, so that's your weather map symbol. I'll color these in. So these are usually filled in like that. What symbol do you see on a weather map for a warm front? You see, didn't change my color. You're going to see red line usually with red half circles. And they do different shapes because some newspapers are black and white, so you want to have triangles for the cold front, half circles for the warm front. So warmer that way. Okay, occluded front. What do you see for that? What you're going to see is they're going to alternate. So you're going to have your red half circles on one side. No, never mind. That's the stationary front is what I'm drawing. So these are going to go the same way. So occluded front, we have my red half circles on one side, and then my blue triangles are going to alternate on the same side, like this. because they're both going the same way. Okay, so that's my occluded front. My blue triangles and my red half circles on the same side. Sometimes you'll see it in purple if it's a color. They'll do it in purple. Okay, I had skipped the stationary front. That's why I kind of messed myself up a little bit here. So the stationary front, you can draw what you'd see for that one too. I kind of already gave that away. Remember, they're pushing against each other, but neither is advancing. So what you're going to have is your blue triangles on one side alternating with your red half circles on the other side, showing that they're pushing opposite directions, but neither one's advancing. So let's look at the next slide for some pictures of these. So this is the warm front, and you see with your clouds, cirrus, cirrostratus, aldostratus, pneumostratus, and you see kind of this distance. So let's say that you're in Pittsburgh. Okay, you're in Pittsburgh, you look up, you see these little cirrus wispy clouds. You think, oh, okay, we might be having a warm front come in. Maybe it's going to be a day, might 24 hours, 20 hours. Remember, these warm fronts don't go very quickly, so you're going to have some time. Okay, it's going to move closer to you, and then you're going to have the cirrostratus clouds. You can say, oh, warm front's getting closer. Get to the altostratus. Oh, now it's going to start raining soon. And we get our nimbostratus. It's raining. But you can see up to 600 miles away from the front, you're starting to see the clouds from it. But only when you get within 200 miles do you usually get actual rain. And that's why, like I said, you might have a day or two of rain from these because it's a very slow moving front. This is a picture of an occluded front. Again, showing you have all these warm front clouds, and then you have your cold front, your cumulonimbus clouds with all the really bad stuff. And again, you have this distance, maybe 600 miles away. So again, you're going to know these things are coming usually if you're observant. You'll see them coming. And then the last page is, again, some more slides showing you what hopefully you drew. So we have our cold front pushing it up, our warm front like this, our stationary front showing just putting the symbols on here. So stationary symbol, warm symbol, cold symbol. And you see these that we had drawn there. And that's it for our last lesson.